I never thought I'd be the guy to catch his wife cheating, but here I am, sitting in my living room trying to make sense of what I just found out. Sarah and I have been married for 7 years. She's always been a bit of a bitch, sharp-tongued, quick to argue, but I loved her, or at least I thought I did. We had a life, a routine, and I genuinely believed we were happy. At least I wanted to believe that. Things started feeling off a few months ago, little signs I tried to ignore. She'd be more secretive about her phone, always locking her messages, hiding her screen when I'd walk into the room. She'd get defensive if I asked who she was texting or what she was doing late at night. I chalked it up to her being paranoid or maybe just stressed about work. It got worse when she started coming home late from these writing conferences she kept talking about. She'd leave early Friday morning, come back Sunday night, and suddenly she was exhausted, always with a new excuse about how she was networking or catching up with fellow writers. But I knew her publisher was involved, and I knew about the literary agent, Mike, that she'd been meeting with. That's when I first got suspicious. I'd overheard her on the phone once loudly, telling someone she'd finally got her breakthrough and that she'd be taken care of. I didn't think much of it at the time, just brushed it off as another writer's talk, but something inside told me to keep digging. Then last week I decided to go through her emails. I know, that's invasive, but I was desperate. And what I found was a series of messages, late-night emails and hotel reservation confirmations that made my stomach drop. She'd been meeting with Mike, her literary agent, in hotels during these conferences, not just talking about my debut novel, but clearly more than that. The emails were flirtatious, suggestive, and she'd even mention writing sessions that sounded more like sex to me. I couldn't believe it. My wife, the woman I trusted, was cheating on me with my own literary agent. I printed out the emails, took pictures of the hotel receipts, and sat there staring at everything in shock. It was like my whole world was collapsing. The worst part, I didn't even want to confront her yet. I just sat there numb, trying to process how someone I loved could do this. I kept asking myself, what did I do wrong? Was I missing signs? Or was she just a bitch who used her charm to manipulate everyone around her? I don't think I'll ever understand it fully. But I knew I couldn't keep this quiet. I had to face her, had to confront her, and figure out what the hell was going on. That night I didn't sleep. I kept staring at the pictures, rereading the emails, trying to find some kind of explanation that made sense. Sarah was always so high and mighty about her work, her integrity, how serious she was about her writing. She'd been pushing this fantasy of her career for years, acting like she was some kind of dedicated artist, when behind the scenes she was just screwing around with my own agent in hotel rooms during conferences. I felt like I'd been hit with a freight train. How could she do this? How could she lie so effortlessly, spin stories about her work trips, while she was actually out screwing someone else? The next morning, I decided I'd had enough. I called in sick to work, something I rarely do, and waited for her to come home. When she did around 4 p.m., she looked smug, like she already knew she had gotten away with something. I needed to see her face when I told her I knew. I was furious, but I kept my voice calm, cold even. I didn't want to scream, didn't want to yell. I just looked her straight in the eye and said, "We need to talk." She looked annoyed, like I was interrupting her busy day. "What's wrong, honey? You look like you've seen a ghost." Her tone was bitchy, dismissive. I could tell she was trying to brush me off, to act like I was overreacting. But I wasn't about to let her do that. I pulled out the printed emails and the hotel receipts, laid them on the table slowly. Her eyes widened just a little, but her face quickly turned into that fake smile she always used when she was about to lie her way out of something. "So Sarah," I said, voice steady but choked with anger, "care to explain these emails? The hotel receipts, because I think I know what's been going on." She blinked a few times, then scoffed. "Oh, come on, that's ridiculous. You're just jealous because I'm doing well. Maybe I just had some fun with Mike. He's a good guy, you know. It's not like I'm cheating on you emotionally. It's just a fling, a one-time thing." Her voice was bitchy, defensive, like she was trying to minimize it all, make it seem insignificant. I couldn't hold back anymore. I told her I'd seen enough, that I knew everything. And her excuse, that she was just trying to boost her career, that she needed to get some inspiration, and that I was just jealous or insecure. Honestly, hearing her lie like that made me want to vomit. I felt my blood boil, but I kept my composure. I told her I was done, that I couldn't believe she'd cheat on me with someone I trusted so much, especially someone who was supposed to represent my work. Her reaction was classic Sarah, bitchy, dismissive, full of excuses. She yelled at me, called me paranoid, accused me of snooping because I didn't trust her. She said I was overreacting, that it was nothing serious, that I was just being a jealous husband. That's when I realized she didn't even care how much she hurt me. She just cared about covering her ass, about making herself look innocent. It was almost laughable how she lied, how she tried to turn it around on me like I was the one at fault, but I wasn't falling for it. I told her she could pack her bags, that I was done. I couldn't stay with someone so manipulative, so dishonest. That night, I felt like I was drowning. The betrayal hit hard, worse than any punch or slap. I kept replaying everything, her lies, her bitchy tone, her smug face. I cried, something I rarely do, because it hurt more than I expected. I felt betrayed, humiliated, and furious all at once. I wondered how I had been so blind, how I could have loved someone so much and not seen the signs. But I also knew I had to move on, no matter how much it hurt, because I refused to be some fool caught in her web of lies. The days that followed were a blur. I threw myself into work, trying to distract myself from the gnawing ache inside. Every time I saw her face or heard her voice, even in my head, the anger just flared up all over again. I couldn't stop thinking about that hotel, about her lying to my face, about Mike, the guy she'd been screwing while pretending to be a dedicated writer. It wasn't just the betrayal. It was the way she'd lied so effortlessly, like she had no conscience. She told me she loved me, that she was committed, and then she was out banging some other guy behind my back. One thing I kept going over was the fact that Sarah is a bitchy liar. She's the kind of woman who can spin a story so convincingly that even her biggest lies sound believable. I remember one night, after I confronted her, she turned her usual bitchy tone on me, calling me paranoid and insecure. She told me I was imagining things, that I was jealous of her success, and that I was just too possessive. That was her go-to line: trivialize your feelings, make you question your sanity. It's what she did best, but I knew better now. I knew she was just deflecting because she was caught. I also found myself obsessing over her excuses, how she always had a reason: work stress, needing inspiration, feeling trapped in her mundane life. But the thing is, the more she tried to convince me it was nothing, the more I realized she was just covering her tracks. I saw through her bullshit. She'd lie about being tired, about how nothing was going on, but her behavior told a different story. She'd come home late after these conferences, smelling like hotel soap and cheap perfume. She'd fix her hair, put on her bitchy smirk, and act like I was paranoid for even questioning her. I didn't want to confront her again, that was too exhausting. Instead, I started planning my own kind of revenge. Not something dramatic or violent, but something cold, calculated. I wanted her to feel what I felt: betrayed, humiliated, exposed. I didn't want her to get away with it. I knew enough about her lying, her manipulative ways, and I decided I'd use her own secrets against her. I started gathering evidence, digging into her phone, her emails, even her social media, just to make sure I had everything when the time came. I knew she'd deny, lie, blame me. She always did, but I wanted to be ready. In the meantime, I kept my distance. I didn't answer her calls or texts. I didn't want to feed her any more lies. I just kept things cold and silent. The house that once felt warm and welcoming now felt like a prison. Every day I woke up feeling more betrayed, more disgusted that I had ever trusted her. I'd always thought she was the bitchy wife who loved to argue, but now I saw her as something much worse. A manipulative, selfish woman who'd cheat and lie without a second thought. And Mike, that bastard, just played his part in the mess, pretending to be innocent when he was just as much a part of her bullshit as she was. I kept waiting for the right moment, the perfect opportunity to call her out, to make her see that I knew everything. I wanted her to feel exposed, to understand that her lies wouldn't hide what she'd done forever. That's when I realized I'd be okay, eventually. Because no matter how much it hurt now, I'd get past it. I had to. But for now, I was just waiting, biding my time and holding on to my dignity, knowing that I'd turn this betrayal into something that would crush her when I finally decided to strike back. The moment I decided to strike back, I knew I had to be careful. Sarah was a bitchy liar, and I'd seen how she could spin stories to make herself look innocent. I didn't want to give her any room to deny what I already knew, so I started planning meticulously. I kept an eye on her, watched her every move, and made sure I had all the evidence I needed: screenshots, hotel receipts, email exchanges. I didn't want to just confront her blindly. I wanted her to see she was cornered, that I was smarter and more prepared than she thought. One afternoon, I finally caught her sneaking around with her phone. She was acting suspicious, texting someone in a way that reeked of guilt. I pretended to be busy, but I snuck my phone out of my pocket and I saw a message pop up. It was from Mike, her literary agent, but really just her lover, talking about our next secret meeting, hotel plans, and how much she was looking forward to seeing him. Hearing that made my stomach turn, but I kept calm. I knew I had her now, and I wasn't going to let her get away with lying her way out again. That night, I decided to catch her in the act. I told her I was going out for a late drink with some friends, but I didn't go anywhere. Instead, I waited at home, hidden behind the curtains, watching her pack her bag like she was ready for another conference. She was so bitchy about it, rolling her eyes, complaining about how annoying I was being, how I didn't trust her. But I knew the truth. She was about to sneak out for her stupid affair again. When she left, I slipped out of my hiding spot, following her at a safe distance. She went straight to the hotel where she'd been meeting Mike. I watched from a dark corner as she checked in, her bitchy attitude even more pronounced when she thought no one was looking. I snapped pictures of her leaving the hotel late at night, her walking into the lobby with that sneaky look on her face, like she was proud of her lies. I felt a strange mix of satisfaction and disgust. I was finally in control, finally exposing her. The next day I confronted her again, but this time I told her I had proof. She was furious, calling me crazy, calling me paranoid, but I had everything documented. Her face drained of color when I laid out the evidence: her hotel check-ins, the explicit emails, the texts from Mike. Her excuses came fast. She said it was just sex, that she needed inspiration, that I was jealous and insecure. But I was done listening. I told her I'd had enough of her manipulations, that I was done with her lies, and that I was filing for divorce. Her bitchy attitude only worsened when she realized she was trapped. She screamed, called me all sorts of names, accused me of ruining her career, her reputation. She tried to twist it all around, make me the villain. But I didn't care. I'd finally seen the real Sarah, the manipulative, selfish woman who'd lie to my face and cheat behind my back. And I knew I needed to leave before she could screw me over even more. I packed a bag that night, woke up early the next morning, and told her I was done for good, that I deserved better than a lying, cheating wife who thought she could get away with everything. As I walked out that door, I felt an odd sense of relief mixed with heartbreak. I'd lost my wife, sure, but I'd gained clarity. I'd learned that nobody is immune to betrayal, even the bitchiest, most manipulative women. You have to be careful who you trust. And sometimes, even the people you love the most can turn out to be the biggest liars. I don't regret uncovering her lies, not for a second. It's better to face the truth than live in a lie. And now I'm just trying to rebuild, to move past her betrayal, and to remember that I deserve honesty and respect, something she clearly never gave me. After I left her that morning, everything changed. The house felt emptier than ever, like the walls were closing in on me. I thought about reaching out to friends, maybe talking to a counselor, but honestly, I just needed some time alone. I wasn't sure how I was going to heal from the betrayal of a woman I'd trusted with everything. Sarah kept texting me, trying to spin her lies, saying it was all a mistake, that she loved me, that she'd change, but I knew better. Her words were just her trying to manipulate me again, trying to make herself look innocent. I didn't fall for it. Over the next few days, I threw myself into sorting out what I'd uncovered. I printed all the evidence, kept it in a folder, proof that she had been cheating, lying, manipulating. Every email, every hotel receipt, every message from Mike, the whole sordid mess. I wanted to have it all ready just in case I needed to prove to anyone what kind of person she really was. I also started talking to a lawyer about divorce, figuring out my rights, my options. I wasn't going to let her sabotage me or take anything I deserved. I knew I'd be better off without her, even if it hurt like hell now. Honestly, the emotional toll was worse than I expected. Sometimes I'd wake up in the middle of the night feeling this deep ache in my chest. I'd think about her, about how she lied, how she used her charm to cheat on me. It made me mad, made me feel stupid for trusting her. But then I'd remember the evidence, the truth I'd uncovered, and I'd feel a strange sense of power. For the first time, I wasn't the fool in her web. I saw her for what she really was, a bitchy liar who thought she could get away with anything, playing her little manipulative games. I started to realize that the worst part wasn't even the cheating itself. It was how she lied, how she played the victim when she got caught. She'd always been good at twisting things around, making herself look innocent, even when she was caught red-handed. That's why I cut her off completely. No more excuses, no more lies. I needed to shut her out and focus on healing. I also decided I wouldn't let her take my confidence, my dignity. I was hurt, yes, but I was also angry. Angry that I was stupid enough to trust someone like her in the first place, but angry now that I'd finally seen her true face. As the days went by, I started feeling a bit more like myself. I wasn't perfect, and I knew I'd carry this pain for a while, but I also knew I couldn't let her win. I had to learn from this, pick myself up, and move forward. I don't know what the future holds, but I do know I won't let her manipulate me again. I've seen what she's capable of, her bitchy lies, her manipulations, and I'm not going to be blind to it anymore. I deserve better, and I'm going to find it. That's the only way I can start to truly heal from this betrayal. It's been a few weeks since I finally cut her loose, and honestly, I feel like I'm finally starting to breathe again. The house is still empty. No more her bitchy remarks, no more her manipulative smirks. I've moved out most of her things, kept only what I need, and made a conscious decision not to dwell on what I lost. Instead, I focus on what I've gained: clarity, honesty, and the realization that I deserve someone who respects me, not someone who cheats and lies like she did. Looking back, I see now how her bitchiness was always a shield, a way to hide her insecurities or manipulate others into doing what she wanted. She lied so effortlessly, spun stories, and thought she could get away with it forever. But I got the proof, and that's what mattered. That's what finally opened my eyes. I learned that trusting blindly is a terrible mistake, especially with someone who has no problem betraying you. This whole experience has taught me a lot about myself. I learned that I'm stronger than I thought, that I can survive the worst betrayals, and that I don't have to accept being lied to or used. I know now I have to be more cautious, more aware. Never again will I let someone like her manipulate me into thinking her lies are the truth. I've also learned that revenge, in this case, wasn't about doing something destructive. It was about exposing her for who she really was and moving on with my dignity intact. I want to tell anyone out there who's going through something similar: trust your gut. Pay attention to the little signs, even if they seem insignificant at first. If someone's hiding things or being bitchy and defensive, don't dismiss it. Because when someone betrays you, especially someone who pretends to be your partner, it cuts deeper than anything else. But also remember, you're stronger than the betrayal. You can get through it, learn from it, and come out the other side better. I don't regret uncovering her lies. It hurt like hell, but it was the truth I needed. Now I'm focused on rebuilding, on finding someone who truly respects me, who doesn't lie or manipulate. I'm not perfect, and I'll carry this pain for a while, but I'm done hiding behind her lies. From now on, I'll trust myself more. That's the biggest lesson I learned from this whole mess. Never settle for someone who cheats and lies, because you deserve honesty, respect, and real love, not the cheap, bitchy kind she tried to sell me.